Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Wednesday, the 25th of August 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Medieval Scapini Tarot today. Let's see what these cards have to say about Wednesday and what the day is going to look like. So I hope you're having a great week so far. And let's see what's going on via the tarot here. So the first card is the Two of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and finally the Knight of Coins. Okay, what I'm getting here quite strongly is a decision. The decision to look after your own needs and your own path through life and your own purpose, and to really separate yourself from the whims and the desires and the demands of other people, and kind of turning your back on all of that and going on your own little mission of discovery. So I really think that there's some sort of an impasse somewhere in your life when it comes to what you want to do and what's important to you, and what someone else may want for you or may expect from you. And the cards are saying very strongly that it's just as important to look after yourself and your own needs as it is to placate other people. And if you have to make a choice today, then really look after your own needs, because there's a lot coming at you and it's going to be pretty challenging to try and meet everyone's expectation for what you ought to be doing or how you spend your time. I mean, if you look at these different characters here, we've got a tennis player, we've got a court jester, we've got a noble woman, we've got whatever this is, and then we have some sort of, I don't know, performing, passionate, on fire kind of person who's really looking at his life and he's putting his hands up saying back off a little bit. Okay, so altogether, let's see what the reading is about. The Two of Wands is usually a card that shows a man holding the world in the palm of his hand, and the two wands, they create a doorway and he's looking to the future, and the card is very much about taking control of your life journey and saying, this is what I want to focus on, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be a tennis player. I don't want to be a noble lady of the court. And being consequential about that and saying, this is my desire, so I'm going to take action to realize that desire. And I'm just going to close the door, excuse me. I just did a tour of the apartment. If you want to see where I live, I just uploaded that to YouTube. Okay, so it's really about this is my life, and the world is going to have to make adjustments for me so that I can exist in the way I want to, rather than the other way around. The world says I need to do this and this and this, so I will comply and dismiss my own needs and do what everyone else wants. So that's really the big question of the day. And the cards are saying that it's very important not only to focus on your own needs, but to almost use those as a barrier that keep you safe from the demands of other people. Here we've got a wall, we've got all these wooden posts creating a barrier. And here the two wands, they don't stand next to each other creating a doorway, they intersect creating an X, which one creates a real choice for you about what direction you're going to move in, but also it's a barrier. So it keeps you separate from someone here, for example, who's crying at the bottom and who may be very much against what you're doing. So let's say this young man, he says, I want to become a police officer, and here's his dad or his mom. And he or she is very upset because obviously if the son becomes a police officer, there's a lot of danger and something bad could happen to him, and it creates a lot of worry. So he has a choice. He can either say, you know what, it's been my desire to be a police officer my whole life, but my mum's going to be upset about it, so I'm not going to do it, and I'll comfort her. That's option one. Option two is saying, I realize that she's upset, but it doesn't mean that this desire to work for the police is going to go away anytime soon. And I'm sorry that she feels this way, But is it possible maybe that I owe it to myself to look at this job? I've been dreaming about it since I was 5 years old. Should I do it anyway, regardless of the upset feelings? And that's really the choice you have to make whenever you come to these two cards, particularly in this deck. Do I base my actions around the feelings of other people and how they're going to react and respond to me? Or do I do what I feel is important and right and necessary, regardless of how other people are going to react? And for most people who care about their family and their friends and their colleagues, most people try and make it fit. You know, in my experience, most people don't assert themselves all the time and say, well, I don't care what you think, this is important for me. Most of us don't do that because we don't want to ruin our relationships and we want to maintain them. So on this day, first of all, make sure you focus on what it is you want, but also be very decisive and have a boundary in place that says, I have decided to do this. I've told you I'm doing it. So please don't come into the room 5 times crying. We've already discussed this. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to be tough and I'm going to have to stick to my guns and say, this is what I'm doing. And the tears or the worry, while I regret that that's happening for you, I can't let those determine my whole future. The 7 of Wands is a card usually that's about pushing forward regardless of what obstacles there are. And really being determined and having lots of stamina and the power to continue on. Here it's different. We've got whatever this character is, he's really making a big production, but he's not making a big production of removing the barrier. What he's saying is, stay away, I'm warning you. So it's kind of an extension to this card, because once you create the barrier and you're behind it, busy doing whatever it is that you feel has potential and that's going to grow, you see all the branches that are growing are behind the barrier. So what he's actually doing is very, very useful and helpful to his life. Down here, there's no growth. And this plant, whatever it is, looks pretty tired and done for the day. So the cards are saying you're not going to be able to move ahead in your life if you're people-pleasing and if you're making everyone else happy. Use this conviction and this strength to put boundaries in place. And if you're the kind of person who struggles with that, a lot of people do struggle to say, do you know what? This hour is for me to meditate. Most people would say that and say, ugh, I barely meditate anyway. I feel so guilty now. They're going to have to make their pancakes by themselves. So it's having the strength to stick to those boundaries and to create some space in your life to learn something new, to do something new. So it's the perfect day for you to explore and to pursue things which fire you up in life and which you find exciting. And to really differentiate between my stuff and your stuff. You're going to find that very easy. So if you're constantly arguing with someone and you're unable to put boundaries in place and to say, do you know what, enough of this, I'm not going to have you yell at me every other day, then today you'll really be able to put a great boundary in place and to stick with that. Fire, is life purpose and passion, but it can also be destruction and anger. So if there is something that really does feel destructive in your life and it causes you major problems, use your strength to put a barrier in place to shield yourself from that negative influence. You don't need to put up with that. Finally, the Knight of Coins, and I love it in this deck because it's basically just showing us the behind of the horse. It's not very polite. And I love that because the Knight is extreme. He doesn't know when to act and when to sit back and to learn. He just doesn't quite get it. So his timing is really off. But the great thing about the Knight of Coins is he's trying to manage his life in a practical way. And here we've got fire and earth, which to me is always like taking some clay and putting it in a kiln and coming out with a beautiful pot. So anything that's under pressure becomes something hardened and beautiful. It's like that analogy or the example with the piece of coal that turns into a diamond. You put enough pressure on a piece of coal, it turns into a diamond, and that's something we all value and treasure. So if there is pressure on you today, don't immediately get annoyed about that. It's that pressure that leads you to learning something new and behaving in a way that's different. And the Knight of Coins, coins being money and work and daily routine, he's trying to create a stable life that's abundant and that's supportive and empowering and rich. But if he wasn't pressured, he would never go anywhere. So here we've got this guy on the horse. We've got a big city with walls protecting it. If he didn't really have a need to change things up, i.e. if there wasn't any pressure, he would stay home. And he would say, well, it's much more comfortable in my bed than trying to get into the city. Once he rides down from this little hill that he's on, he's going to have to talk to someone and convince them to let him in. So it's getting outside of your comfort zone, taking the pressure and applying it in a practical way, in a way that informs your life financially or in terms of your schedule. And not letting yourself be distracted, using the privacy you've created for yourself by putting these boundaries in place and translating that energy into fuel that's going to help you move forward in those areas of your life that have to do with your job or your physical health or your routine or who you have in your life, the friends you spend time with, the family you spend time with. And really taking a risk to make those things better. Number-wise, we've got 7 and 2 is 9, and 1, chord card is 1, is 10. 10 reduces to 1 in numerology, and 1 is the vibration of the boss, the pioneer, the person who's starting something new on his own. In the tarot, it's the magician. So it's really about using spiritual energy, in this case, this energy of conviction and passion, and translating it into the real world, so that ultimately at the end of the day, you end up in a position that's much better than the position you were in at the beginning of the day. And it's a good idea to take a risk because you're really 100% on your own side. And you find it really easy, even here, to deal with rejection, you know? Like if you're trying to do something and someone else has certain demands, it's not going to pierce this barrier and make you feel bad. You'll be like, well, I want to be a jet ski instructor. Tennis man doesn't want to hire me. He's telling me to switch to badminton. I'm not going to let that affect me, and I'm going to go to someone else who's going to hire me as a jet ski instructor. You know, something, I mean, I know that's a silly example, but it's about letting the opinions and ideas and values of other people really just bounce off and finding an alternative solution. So make it happen. You've got the magic. Have a great day. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. I use the tarot, astrology, numerology, and my intuition in my personal reading. So if you have any questions about your work or your relationships or what's next, then please do get in touch with me for a personal reading and I can look at all those things for you. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Have a fabulous day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.